I've got the time as 6:30, so I will call the work session of the mayor and council, City of Snellville, Georgia, Monday, May 8th, 2023 to order. We have everyone present. So we'll go through the regular meeting first. We've got the invocation. Pastor Jarrell Collins from Heart Place Church will be here.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Anyone for the pledge?
I'll do it.
Dave?
You did it last time.
Well,
You're right next to me, I can hear you.
I know, that's the reason I volunteered.
Which knows when to jump in. Under ceremonial matters, we just have the one proclamation, and if everybody's okay, we may move the timing of that. Kelly is at the Brookwood Awards presentation that starts at 7 to give out the scholarship from Commerce Club. So she's gonna try to get on first there and then get back here, but she might not be here at the beginning of the meeting. So she does have a report that she also wants to give. So I told her, I didn't think anybody would have a problem if we just put her in wherever she happens, whatever time she happens to show up. So it may be at the beginning or the middle or the end.
Narrows it down.
We're so
Yeah.
Those are long nights, she might not get here.
Then we have the minutes. Let's see, we've got a first read for SUP 2301. Any questions on that for the work session? First read.
That's not I mean, it's similar
Similar
type business, so it's,
Right.
I didn't think there's anything objectionable there.
All right, so that'll be waived and put on the May 22nd meeting agenda. And then under new business, I'm nominating Charles Williams to the Planning Commission. And he should be here, so we may go ahead and give him the oath of office if he's here. And then the last thing is the authorization for me to submit the disclosure to the Georgia Association of Realtors.
Have we made any changes since it circulated?
You had a couple of,
You had a couple.
I had a couple, I think somebody else did. I didn't know if it was overkill or not.
I think we just delete the multi-person rental, just because it's so vague.
Well, I'm just looking at ways, guys say, well, I didn't know because it's not multifamily.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just additional people here, so. But I think we just say room rental or whatever.
yeah, but multi-purpose would be multi-person would be a married couple too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the one I submitted, I don't know if everybody thought it was worthy of including. We're currently having a problem with a neighbor expanding a storage shed, intending to make it a rental unit, so it would be, a second rental
Yeah,
on that property.
and that would fall under
Would that-
number 2,
Okay, that would be
Yeah.
covered by that.
yeah. And, well, actually, number 1 and number 2. Can,
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure that that was covered.
Okay. And then that's it for the regular meeting. Oh, but I was given tonight, this is an IGA with the county for the election, for us to be able to get a ballot box. That's we get this from them every election.
last 2.
Yeah. And this, but the IGA, for me to sign the IGA wasn't on our agenda. Are y'all okay with just adding it to the agenda for tonight? Since it's really kind of
It's a
inconsequential.
no-brainer.
So we're gonna add as new business C.
Or do you want to put it on consent? Well, let's do the C, that way.
Yeah, I mean, if we gotta do it, and we don't have anything else.
And we've gotten it the last 2 years without an IGA, or just all of a sudden they decided to do that.
They wanna do an IGA, and that's, I'd rather not sign this without council approval, even though it's just kind of a,
housekeeping stuff.
housekeeping thing. So if you want to amend the agenda, it would be authorize the mayor to sign the IGA between city and the county board of voter registrations for use of election equipment.
No.
You better
Read
repeat
it
it.
again slower.
Okay, the IGA between the city and the county board of voter registrations and elections for use of election equipment.
And the mayor signing.
Or can you just pass it down?
Yes, I could do
That
that
would be
too.
easier.
I could do that too.
We like to be precise down here.
Don't read those.
I hate to say something that's not true.
Okay. All right, any correspondence?
Several, but they're all in the report.
Okay. Just to give y'all an update, I sent out an email about the Create Gwinnett meeting, the initial presentation. I mean, to me, it's sounding very good. It's a big, audacious, broad plan. But I think it's the type of thing that needs to be put out there, and so I'm interested in seeing the actual draft that they send out. Jonathan Holmes,
big.
yeah, well, he said that like there's like a heat map that they put in there that shows where all of the cultural assets are now. And he said it's really interesting where, you know, that kind of where everything is. But I think there's a really great opportunity to get a lot of different organizations talking and working together, and so I think it's gonna be good. But it will be, when we get that plan, it is, I kept putting in there, this is a draft. And this is being put out for feedback. So this is if we want something changed or in the plan, we just need to make sure we put our 2 cents in, so.
I responded, I don't know if you saw it, but I've been, at all the
Yes.
meetings, I've been hitting them about South Gwinnett, so.
Yep,
Hopefully I think they've taken note.
they have. When I walked in the room, I was talking to a couple of people, and they were appreciative of the engagement that we had. And I think, it sounds to me like that heat map's gonna show that there's some areas that need to be,
Yeah.
you know,
Needs more attention.
yeah, needs more
It
attention,
shows us like a desert.
yes.
No, there's. not
There's
a
stuff
desert.
here, yeah,
There's some
there's-
stuff here.
We do have a lot here, but I don't know that how many people know about it across the county.
We've
And
got
this is-
Dorothy.
But I mean, we got Snellville Performing Arts, and we've got Cobble Creek Studios, and, you know, so we've got,
You know, and to a degree,
Well, I
the
see.
community garden kind of fits, because they've got a pretty broad definition. And, you know, a lot of things can involve art that are not the prime focus. I mean, we've got a little water feature out there, and
Depends how you define art, I guess, you know.
yeah, and they define it very broadly, not just to be art, but this is about the creative economy too. It's about people who, you know, I think the term now is the creative. So you're talking about writers, graphic artists, you're talking about publishers, you're talking about photographers. Yeah, you're not just talking about people who paint
Paint.
or sculpt or something like that. You're talking about anybody who's in that creative class, you know, probably not accounting.
no, welders.
We are creative problem solvers, but not really on that creative side of things. But,
You know, really, it's like welding. if you're not fixing, but you're creating something, that fits in the mode
Right,
too.
right, and it's about, all of this is being driven by economic development. That's the county's charge to this organization, to come up with a plan that's gonna drive economic development. So it's also, it's driving all of those creative industries within the county too, so. Yeah, because that was one of the points of discussion at the meeting was they've the draft name for the new organization, they would rebrand Artworks to Create Gwinnett. And that was one of the questions that came up, is should it be like Creative Gwinnett or, something along those lines to make it seem more inclusive of the creative class. So that was some discussion too. So it was a good meeting. I'm glad I went. All right, and no other correspondence. City attorney's report?
No report tonight.
Nothing tonight. Discussion items, ongoing projects?
We're trying to get to the end of the hardscape work down in the Grove. I'm sure y'all have seen some pictures. I've been down there. I've given you a couple of extra pieces of, a couple of extra handouts. The first one is about half of the Grove owners and architect punch list. These are items that we found on a trip through the hardscape area of the Grove, and I think they're gonna be about 90. This is just from the landscape architect. Michael's list and my list, there's some overlap, but there will be some more. So, there are little pieces of it, a little thing like pine straw, all exposed soil. But then there are some other things that really will have an impact on the completion of the project. So, I know you noticed probably some trees that are brown. They'll have to replace those. We have a 1-year warranty on all of the landscaping. They were hoping that they would come back. Some of them are not. Some of them are starting to bud out. So those are not cheap trees. We've tried to put in bigger trees, because we took out a lot of trees. So I think what's there will be, and there's still more to be planted. But so just know that there's a lot of oversight over that project, and it's probably got another couple weeks to knock this punch list out, and there'll be another report on the 22nd. Our infamous paving project is now complete on
thank
Wisteria and Oak. There's been a little patching done on North. I hope people understand that you don't do a project like this without milling and paving. And the milling will make those streets last a lot longer. The drainage will work better. You have to mill it, and then you have to we put a little extra asphalt on there. So, and we made sure that it cured for a while. We didn't want to put people on new hot asphalt and 30 minutes later and have ruts through there. So, we waited probably an extra hour to let it set up. And the great, obviously, is in most situations like this, the great majority of people were fine with it. We did hear from a few folks, and we everybody tried to respond to some people, and but I hope that everybody will put it all into context and realize that is a handful of people who complained. So, in any case, we're finished. It's very nice. The striping, hopefully, will take place in the next week. At least we have temporary out there now, and it's a lot better, I hope you think.
Well, and even the striping that they put down is gonna be temporary, right? Because
Yeah,
there's still
yeah,
one more
it is.
coat of that going over.
Yeah, but it'll be better than just what we've got now, with paint. The parking deck, we had our 11-month parking deck walkthrough. We do that, we put that in contracts now because you've got a year warranty. you want to make sure before that warranty comes up, you've got another punch list, if you will. So a few items to light out, some signs that need to be raised, some cleaning that has to be done. So I do understand that 7 of the 8 charging stations are working now. And so we're, hopefully we'll have that 8th one up as in a lot of instances, there are several parties involved. You've got Siemens, you've got the contractor's electrician, you have VC3 who's our IT contractor. Getting them all to talk together or meet in one place is not as easy as you think. So they've got 7 of the 8 working, the 8th will. So you'll see some things done in the parking deck before our warranty runs out. Sidewalk improvements, good progress on Skyland and Pinehurst easements. I had an email today from a gentleman that had all of the evergreens on Pinehurst, and he's agreed to have them taken out and have about half of them replanted. I told Matt, I said, well, that's really nice since most of them are dead that are coming out. But they aren't all dead.
Not every.
And the bid goes in the paper next week. I know there was some discussion in the legislature this year about kind of going away from a mandatory legal organ ad, but it did not happen. That might put some newspapers out of business. I mean, they're hanging on now, local newspapers. So we still have to advertise locally, and they only publish once or twice a week. In I guess you really have to get it to them almost 10 days in advance for them to put it in there. So it's kind of difficult. Used to be easy, a little more difficult now, but it is keeping the paper alive. Curbside recycling is now fully operational. Craig just sent an email. We have 1,034 customers, which is about 15% of the total. That's
Soon to be 1,035. I still haven't signed up yet. But I plan to.
But
We're still taking.
It's still sitting on my counter.
once again, we have an issue where once we got all the parties talking together, we solved all the problems, or 99% of the problems. I expect that number to go up as we start pulling over time, pulling people's carts, and because obviously everybody didn't hear about it. So it is. It'll be interesting to see what the final number will be, but it's going to be a lot. The percentage will be higher than what we've seen in Grayson and Loganville.
One of the problems I think we might have in our neighborhood is that there are a good many rental homes in the neighborhood, and I'm assuming the letter went to the property owner as opposed to the person actually living in the home if it's.
Yes, because it would be up to the property owner
Right.
to opt in or
So
out.
decide.
I think there may be some folks that live in the houses in our neighborhood that don't understand it or don't know what's going on, but just a thought.
And for instance, like today, American Homes for Rent, they called in 78 homes that they wanted to get recycle carts for.
Yeah.
For all, so, and a lot, but they're controlling it. We sent the information to the policy to them, and they want to control the renter to be able to give them the policy, let them know what the contamination issues are if they do, and that way renters in and out understand that it's just through the property management company, so that it's all year long, it's not a refundable or,
Right.
non-transferable service.
And we have a meeting call scheduled in the morning with all parties to work on, make sure we're on the same page still program-wise, and to talk about Craig, the request that we've got, that Craig's talking about, that's something we can address in the next contract. I mean, you can decide how you want to provide the service at that time. So, in any case, it's been an unbelievable undertaking on the staff's part at Public Works, and they've performed very well in getting us to this point. Snellville Pavilion, I know Chuck's not here. Talked to Johnny today. Citations have been issued to all violators to everybody from the store management to the property owner. So I know we're ready to take it to the next level. Now, if they persist in not coming to court.
Yep.
Jason is working with Jacobs on a comp plan. We do need some input on dates. We need the discussion as soon as possible as far as our philosophy moving forward on nodes, on assemblages. And I think we might just ask Jim Somerville to come to the next meeting. And you guys can think about timing when you want to hold these meetings and to get the most input that we can. So we'll just get Jim here. Jason will be here for the second reading of the next item. And
Should we do that, just have him come at a work session, or is this something we need to do a special meeting?
well, just if we can discuss it at the work session
And
and
then-
set the schedule and put it in his contract.
Okay,
We have Greg Swanson coming next work session.
What's that?
We have Greg Swanson coming next work session to talk about the, when it came to
EMA?
emergency management. So that's,
Maybe we need to start a little earlier.
okay.
We'll look and see. We'll let everybody know that. The package sales implementation. I know there are a lot of people out there looking for locations, and there aren't a lot of locations given our guidelines. So, which is not unusual. I mean, you put in what you think is best for the community, and that's what you stick to. Right now, the applications are still due June the 5th. We're going to talk to some people and see. We'll come back probably at the next meeting and let you know where we stand. Because we would like to have 2 or 3 anyway in a lottery, 2 or 3 qualified applications. So we'll try to get some information from folks. And
Do we have any in yet?
no,
How many-
it's going to be June 5th at
Yeah, I
4:59.
would bet.
How many sites do you think there are that are suitable?
You know, I have not, we can't give advice
Oh, I know, I
to these
just-
people out there.
I just figured you
know, I can find 2 or 3,
Okay.
so,
I mean, I know of one that's perfect, but
yeah, so. Briscoe Park maintenance facility is underway. Recording had a call this afternoon with the metal building fabricator. We don't have a delivery date yet, but the contractor on the on the site development and the build out of the building, they'll work hand in hand to make sure that we're coordinated and there won't be any need to pull off the job. And so it's a I think you think, Matt, that maybe we got our point across today to the building fabricator. So
I mean, it's a metal building, it shouldn't be,
they are
what kind of
either
timeframe are they
incredibly
looking at?
busy or incredibly bad at customer service. We got a great deal on the building, and a champion building, it will be fine. I've put them up at airports before, but we just have to keep pushing them. If you get any questions, the lake lowering starts tomorrow for wall construction. We tried to put notices out there. I've walked around the lake talking to, if you see a couple fishermen out there, to let them know. A lot of people walk out there. I've stopped them to let them know. I think Lisa and Taylor also have. So we're trying to get the word out there, but you may get some calls.
Maybe, can we just get a couple of little yard signs made and just
They're-
put around the lake?
Lisa's
Are they
put
doing
those
that?
out and people have vandalized them.
Oh.
So now we're, you know, zip tying them to fences and everything. So, how many did she lose? What, 2, 3? Yeah. We've had problems.
So it's not just campaign signs that disappear.
We've had,
Somebody do with that.
maybe it's friends of the ducks. I don't know. There's not enough water for the ducks. Who knows? We've had some vandalism at the site. I went over there early one morning, and after Matt and Lisa told me that a lot of kids cut through there. You know, they walk, they want to go, they want a shortcut to school, and so I was sitting over there by the fence, got out of my car, about 20 kids coming up. I said, guys, this is a construction site. You can't climb this fence and go through there. You know, I appreciate you wanting to do this. What we did, or what we have done, Lisa and her folks have done a good job. Larry Kaiser has kind of preliminarily laid out a connection through the woods from that back gate from where our greenway ends, behind Public Works, out to the library, and then back into the park. And so I let them know, we've tried to let as many people know as possible, that will be open. They can go on that cleared area there and get to that gate in the back. So hopefully everything gets a little bit better. I haven't heard of anything, Matt, the last couple days about vandalism, so hopefully that's a little communication help there. On North and Wisteria, still working with property owners, and the last document that I've given you is what was just received from Larry Kaiser, still in review. This is, you can see revised today, as of today. This is his proposal on the traffic calming. We need to have a good discussion on this, because I honestly, I have not been down, I don't know if y'all have been on Janmar lately, where they put the speed humps in.
Oh, yeah.
On Janmar?
Yeah.
On Janmar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
between 124 and Webb Gin. They work, there's no doubt about it, and a lot of people have skepticism about these chicanes working. We need to have a good discussion about it before I mean, they look good, but the neighborhoods need to have some input on, you know, what they would like, what they think would work.
Yeah.
how
Well,
safe.
because you have the issue like with Tanglewood, they can't do the speed humps because of the
I
grade
know,
of the road.
I know that,
So,
but we need, all that information needs
yes,
to be out there.
yes, I agree.
So, anyway, take a look here. You've got a pretty good estimate on the cost of the project and his management, engineering fees, and so you've got something to review, and we can talk about further there. But that's about all I have this evening.
Okay, in North and Wisteria, we have our grant application in for the GTIB.
Yes, yeah, we should hear something very soon. The gentleman I talked to, he said, you know, they're kind of inundated, they're a little later, normally you hear in April, so obviously, he said sometime in May.
Any questions?
I just want to mention one thing for South Gwinnett High School for Friday, the 12th. We're doing a disaster simulation activity, so if anybody calls or you see anything on Facebook, that there's a bunch of ambulances there and personnel.
Don't jump to
It's a
conclusions.
simulation on Friday through the Public Service and Law Academy, just so nobody panics.
It's the kids.
Yes,
Good
School is on
information.
fire.
although we've had our challenges this year, this
Exactly.
one is not real.
Are y'all gonna let the kids know ahead of time? Because what usually happens is they text their parents and then.
Right, true. Yeah, they do. Dr. Streetman's working on it, so.
Okay, then we have item B, the SPD statute. Gretchen?
Yeah, well, I had this on the agenda last time and I wasn't here. This was an idea that I came up with as I kept driving by the roundabout in front of the police station. I kept thinking, you know, something would be nice there. But then the more people, well, I haven't talked to very many people, but as I talked to people, I realized from a liability standpoint, that was not a good spot for it, because the first time somebody decides to drive through the roundabout and wrecks their car or gets injured, then we could face liability issues. So, what I'm thinking about now is on the Oberholzer Way side of the police department in the grassy area there. And I do want to emphasize that this is totally, you know, citizen initiated, totally will be paid for with private as well as local business donations. There's no city money that would be used for it. So that I want to emphasize, that it's, you know, all to be paid for with sponsorships or donations. I talked to Matt put me in touch with the sculpture artist.
Bronzeman?
That did, Bronzeman, that has done the Sawyer and Snell statues, and the just first estimate that she gave me was it would be about $60,000. So then I'm sure we'd have to add something for a concrete pad for it. But and of course I've talked to Greg about it, and his initial reaction when I told him I had this in mind, he said, "Oh, that's so cool." And I know he told me he has formed what he calls a, you know, mini committee of officers. I don't know who they are, that are just offering some thoughts and advice on it. So that's where I am at this point. I just wanted you to be in the loop and know.
Okay, I'm just looking at this email that came across our email today with Mr. Wigg's email, and I see he's sitting there. So apparently there seems to be some concern about this monument. Initially, it appeared as though, you know, maybe the city was going to fund it, and then they came in and said, no, it's private, citizens will fund that. They'll get donations from businesses and elsewhere. So I just want to ask, because it says the citizens have talked to, the citizens Mr. Wicks has spoken to, would ask to table this action until they get enough officers to patrol. Apparently there is issues going on with the officers not patrolling, there are questions going on. So I don't know if I may ask Mr. Wicks a question, why you're opposing the monument?
I'm not opposed.
And what is, okay.
I'm not opposed to that. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
I mean, we do have a very good police department, better than most cities. The concerns that were brought to me was there's some issues that y'all don't know about, that has never been brought to the table. But what their concerns with me is that, and that was before Dave sent me a response and said, no city funds. But if there was city funds involved, we felt that that money would be better spent to offer incentives, extra training, extra maintenance for the cars. No offense, chief, but I've seen an SPD car drive around for 3 months with one headlight. So, you know, it's just things like that, that it's the little things around that I think would be, if it was city funds, it would be better spent for our community. Because you know as well as I do, Gretchen, there's a lot of fantastic people that will be the first ones to stand up and say, sure, how much?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not a matter of, at this point, of the funding, but it's a matter of the perception that the citizens have of why are we doing this when we know these other things that I can assure you, nobody in this room knows anything about. And that's the concerns. Some of that was mine, but some of it was some of the other neighbors that I've talked
Mr.
to.
Wicks, could I ask,
well-
when you send emails like that in the future, would you include me? Because you didn't
I thought I
include.
did.
You didn't
I thought you were
include
the
me.
first one on there. I did not do that
No.
intentionally. Because the way you have to do it is you have to physically write down everybody's name.
You could do mayorcouncil@snellville.org.
Well, not on my email, it won't,
Oh,
on my personal email. But I
okay.
I profusely apologize. I did not, that was not intentional by any means,
Okay.
because it's your idea and you need to be included first and foremost. But I don't know how that happened.
That's okay, I understand, that happens.
You know, I'm a number 2 pencil in a legal pad type guy. You know, so, and that was the concerns that citizens have, is there's other things going on within the community that they have concerns about, and they felt like the money would be better spent to upgrade and give our chief the tools he needs to properly do the things that need to be done in the community. And that's what that was all about.
Thank you.
Now, if there are concerns with citizens or people are talking, is there a way that we can sit with them at a table, bring them at a table and see what the concerns are? Because obviously now it doesn't have to be, it's not the money issue, because we already know where the money is coming from. Dave was clear in his email. But is there a way that we can all just sit and just see what's going on?
Certainly.
Because obviously there is
I mean-
talk,
Well, the problem
I like
is,
to be
if these are
open.
such major problems, why does nobody here know about it? Why don't the citizens come
Dave,
in?
Dave, this is back to a work
Yeah.
session for the council, so we're gonna,
I'll address that later.
Okay.
Okay.
so let's
Thank you.
keep the discussion here. So that was the request being made by Solange, if,
I'm just concerned, that's it.
I would just say you know, one of my desires, and I've expressed this to Chief Perry, is that as our officers leave the police department parking lot every day, I would just love for them to see a statue like that, that they know they leave with the support of our community. As they go out and they put their lives on the line for us. That's my thinking behind it,
okay.
that's all.
All right, next item is item C, final discussion on the proposed disclosure submission to the Georgia Association of Realtors.
That was partially talked about when we went through our regular agenda. I would just ask, unless anybody has any major concerns about it, that we allow the mayor to sign off on sending it forward to Georgia Association of Realtors, which I'll probably assist her with. With Dave's changes, striking the multifamily.
Multi-person.
Multi-person, the word's multi-person. So I don't think there's anything that's a major change in there, just little housekeeping issues. So unless anybody has input on that, let's just move on.
Okay. And then that's on our agenda for tonight.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have address funding through the American Rescue Plan Act funds for community. Solange?
Okay, so I would like us to allocate funds for the small businesses in our city limits from the ARPA fund. okay? Because it is a fund that is actually supposed to go to the people. It's a recovery fund, the Recovery Act. So the way I was thinking that we can do it is to have the businesses that have made, maybe for the past 2 years, less than $50,000, in order for them to qualify, okay? Also, they have to be located within our city limits. So the businesses who are saying they're in Snellville, but not in the city limit, do not qualify for the funds, okay? So, and it can be just a brick and mortar building, or it can be a home-based business, but we have to allocate certain funds for them. So the way they can show us that they qualify, of course, they need to have a business license, right, within the city of Snellville. They also need to show us their taxes, when they file the taxes, how much money they have made. Because otherwise anybody can come and say, oh yeah, you've got to show how much money you have made the last 2 years, last year, and every time they renew the license, it should also show. Does the city, when we renew the license, Butch, every year, do they put how much they have earned for the year? I'm not familiar with that part.
We pay, that's how they pay their fee.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So, okay, also I said, okay, they must have a business license, okay? So non-profit or for-profit can actually qualify as well, okay? I don't know how the city has it, that maybe, you said, well, non-profit won't qualify for the ARPA funds. If they don't qualify, does for-profit qualify for the ARPA funds? Because then the allocation is going to be more than if you do it for non-profits.
It would depend on how
Well,
you set your program up.
Mm-hmm.
We've got our ARPA funds are budgeted.
Mm-hmm.
We've had them budgeted since we received or knew
Mm-hmm.
the amount we were gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that money is already being spent, it was budgeted for the sidewalk. We did that community survey and we
Right.
followed the survey.
No, I understand that, but the money needs to also be allocated for the citizens.
Well, and
You know what I
and
mean?
part of that, if
it's
you
a
wanna,
recovery fund.
if you wanna open up, reallocating the budget from what we've budgeted to this program, I think one of the reasons why we didn't do anything like that, where we didn't provide rent assistance or business assistance at the get-go, was because Gwinnett County had set up all of these programs. They had their Project Reset that they funded with ARPA money. They had a lot of grants that were going out for nonprofits and businesses. So they had set up the program and all of the qualifying, how you qualify. And as far as I know, they still have funds available that have not been allocated to anyone. And so they're still looking for people to apply for that money. So I would suggest that we check into the county first to find out what programs that they have, because for us to recreate that wheel is a lot of time and money. There's going to be expense to the city for getting that program together and then maintaining it and making sure that people, when they get the funds, that they use the funds appropriately.
So you mean to say that, like you said, the county has already made up their ways
got the
of what they're going to do?
programs, right.
Got the programs, so they have not allocated anything
No,
for recovery, for business recovery, like,
the
for
county,
the city?
The
Well,
county?
actually, we should do it because we got the ARPA money. A lot of, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, but the different county levels got it. So the county got a whole lot of money.
Right.
And they allocated it to these areas. And when we got our money, we're all part of the county too. So when the county, and there were other cities that were discussing too, setting up different programs, grant fund programs within their city. But the issue that you've got is, one, we've got to set up all the criteria. Then we've got to have a dedicated person to review the applications and make sure that they're valid and they're qualified. And then the funds have to be allocated out and paid out. And then we've got to be able to report back that they use those funds appropriately. So it's just time and effort, and so that's gonna cost city staff money to be able to run that program. And my thought was, if the county already has those programs in existence and we're essentially duplicating a program they already have available, why would we do that? You know, why do we recreate a wheel that the people in the city can just apply to the county instead of us designating separate funds for city people?
Yeah, but I'm not looking at it as recreating the wheel. I look at it as, we got the ARPA money, we got a budget, we got a certain amount of money. We're using it on everything else except on the citizens. That's how I look at it, except on small businesses that suffered under the COVID. Because it's a relief act.
Well, and
You know
we're-
what I'm saying?
Right, but
So-
we're using it too in creating jobs and creating the work that's being done with the ARPA money.
Yeah, but you're not giving the money directly to the people. That is
Right.
my concern. Whereas a lot of cities gave a portion of the money to help their citizens. You know?
So, okay. Well, and I would just, I mean, again, I would go back to first let's look at the county and see what programs they set up and how much money they've got still left to be given out before we look at reallocating our funds. Because we're talking about, of course, the sidewalks were too far down the road on those. You can't take any money out of the budget for that. We're using the portion that we budgeted for police salaries. I think we're gonna be using the majority of that in the current year or this next year's budget to be able to fund the increases that we've had to do to attract and keep our police officers. And then the money that's left, I can't remember, there was a third thing. Paving, we've spent money on paving already, so we can't reallocate those funds. So really what we're talking about then is the ARPA funds that we had allocated to put towards the community center at the park.
Okay, but what are you doing for the citizens themselves, though? Because it's a recovery act
We're
for
making
them.
sidewalks, and we're talking about having police officers to keep them
So-
safe, and
so
we're
nothing
talking
goes-
about building a community center.
Okay, so nothing goes in their hands. You know what I mean? Like helping
Correct.
the business recover.
Correct.
For
There's no
rent, for
direct handout
anything.
to any
So we still
particular
have
person.
millions of dollars left. So from those millions of dollars, nothing can be allocated to small businesses? I'm sure a portion can be, because it's sitting there.
Well, no, I mean, if the council
Excuse me.
decides that they want to allocate it, then certainly it can
Yeah.
be done.
Could you write up some criteria and a proposal for us all to look at?
Sure.
And then we can discuss it at the next meeting?
Yeah,
of course.
because I mean, that's what it would take.
Because it's- yeah,
Certainly
yeah.
can be done, but what I'm saying is where that money will come from, what we budgeted, the rest of the money that hasn't already been, that we're too far down to reallocate, would be what we've got designated to go to the park. So we'd have to take funds out of that.
So I was just looking, we got 7 million. The county got 182 million. And they're using it for everything from, like we are, water, sewer, and stormwater, broadband infrastructure, program administration. They do have a program set up, and that's what Barbara, when she says they have a setup, she's talking about people and offices and salaries to distribute that money according to the law. They have to report on that just like we do every year. And we don't have that infrastructure. I think what Barbara is saying, they have that administrative infrastructure to distribute that money. And they've got, they have a lot of different areas that they're spending those dollars. They're even keeping some in reserve for emergencies, I guess. So there's a big difference between our little $7 million and their $182 million. So
you're
it's just,
saying then that you don't want to spend any of the ARPA money, which is recovery money for the people, for the small businesses?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying every penny should go towards, for our citizens' benefit. That's what it's there for. Whether you're building a road or you're building a
Yeah,
community
but
center, it
but
needs
what
to
you're
be
doing
for,
is building up the city, right? You're fixing things that are broken, let me say, in the city. But
that,
what are
that
you
the
doing?
citizens use.
Yes, it says it's using it, but what are you actually doing for them? As far as small businesses, you know?
Well, I mean, I just wanted to, Barbara was talking about the county, and I just wanted to give
Yeah,
her
I
some
saw all
numbers.
that, but I'm just asking, what are we as a city doing with that recovery money? How can we help them? That's what I'm saying. I mean, we have businesses here,
I try to help
in
the
the city.
citizens.
you know, so.
Yeah.
So we've got one more topic to talk about, so we'll
Okay.
cut that off for now. But if you can, put together what you would pick as criteria and who should get it and what they should use the funds for.
Well,
And then we
I
can
already have
also,
it here though, but we have no time.
Well,
Put me on the
but if
next
you
work
could share it
agenda,
with
yeah,
us.
yeah.
yeah, or if you
I'll put
can
the next
email that
one.
out so that we have time to look at it before the work session. And then how much money you would propose to designate out of the budget,
Yeah.
out of what we've already got budgeted.
And how
then-
you're gonna pay for the administration. That's
Yeah.
gonna be part of it too.
Because that's gotta be a part of that funding too. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now we'll move to item E, video system for South Gwinnett High School. Mr. Warner.
Last week, everybody's aware of the incident that took place adjacent to South Gwinnett High School. And it involved a bunch of students who had found their way off property. And I think it's important both for the safety of the students who are actually in the school, for us as I thought of what can we as a community or as a city do to help take care of some of that problem and also the problems that we've seen elsewhere where people have entered schools in order to do harm to the students. And whether it's funds from, I went to a grant proposal meeting put on by Lucy McBath's office today, hoping that that might be a funding source, but whether it's that or red speed cameras, I think it'd be extremely important investment for us to put cameras around all of our schools so we can keep track of the comings and goings. Because one of the issues that happened this last week was trying to figure out who was involved. And if you have pictures of who's coming and going, that our police and other agencies can access real time, that would benefit the safety of all of our students and our teachers. Because
Definitely.
y'all are kind of important, and we want to make sure you're safe. I don't see any action coming from this. It's just something tonight, just something that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention, and maybe we can brainstorm going forward.
Well, what about maybe proposing, have you brought this to the school board and see if maybe they can help a little bit or? I'm just asking, just saying.
Yeah, where we're
You
at
never
with
know.
this.
You
I mean,
never know.
we're concerned, the cameras cover the school very well.
Yeah.
I spoke with Ms. Jarrett about it a little bit more, and we really need to draw some connections with the new principal and see, his feeling. One of the major things that Ms. Jarrett said, though, was the cameras are fine. What we need is a wall. We need a fence, a private school
See,
fence.
yeah, you don't wanna do that, because that's gonna then bring the community down.
We can't do that
Yeah,
as a
right,
city,
right,
but what we
right.
can do as a city is try and cover some of the areas, to partner with the school camera system, I think outside of the school. That's the possibility.
I drive up Skyland a lot. Not a time did I go up that I don't see
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
at least one student
Absolutely.
leaving. Doesn't matter what time of day.
And teachers running, no.
Well, we
No,
need them in the
and-
teacher, we need them in the teacher
Right.
parking lot. too.
Right.
Something is gonna happen
And
there
see,
one day.
that area is all
That-
jurisdiction of Gwinnett.
Yeah, I know, but,
Board of Ed,
Yeah, oh,
but
yeah.
what we can do on 78 and maybe down Skyland and Odom,
Well, we have public right-of-way along every street that borders every school. So therefore, we have the right and the ability to put what we desire there.
Yeah.
So to me, it's important.
Yeah,
Well,
me
for-
too.
So let's just
For
think about it
example, we
going
were
forward
at
and give you all
that,
time to go to the bathroom for the meeting.
We were at that Lambert ribbon cutting.
Yeah,
Was it Friday?
Friday.
Friday.
We were there, and it was at 11 o'clock, and.
Was it early release and exams and
I
stuff?
know, but
No.
people that were there,
That's
at the
it.
ribbon
That's-
cutting.
I saw
That's
at
an
least
average
30
day.
kids walking
That's just what
around.
they do
People were
daily.
saying, where are all these kids coming from?
Welcome to our world.
They're all over the place, in the stairwell, in the hallway, behind the doors, in the bathroom.
Oh.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
All right.
That's our day.
We will, we're at 7:25, so is there a motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
There's a motion, is there a second? Motion is second, all in favor? All right, we'll see y'all in there, 7:30.